Hi guys, welcome to SnipBit, the podcast that helps you see how you can be successful in your chosen field, whatever your start or background in life. And today I'm absolutely honoured to introduce to you guys Neville Wright. And this is the man who's turned 37p into 100 million, despite the fact that he's had dyslexia and ADHD. Neville, welcome to SnipBit. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for inviting me onto this.
So, Neville, do you think your background and upbringing were a factor in what you've achieved?
Definitely, yes. Yeah. I think it is everybody's backgrounds make them who they are. I know you can change, and we all change every day, and one of the things was my father was a great influence on me in lots and lots of ways, maybe good, maybe bad, but whatever it was, he taught me. And one of the things he was very proud of was he was the first person in the family and the wider circle of family to actually own his own house, where in those days, I'm talking about in the 40s, 30s and 40s, 90 years ago, and most people rented their house or rooms, and he rented rooms for a start when they got married, and then he managed to buy his own house with a mortgage, 25-year mortgage, and he's very proud of it. So that set the scene. When I was 3, 4, 5 growing up, I heard this saying how proud he was to own his own house, and so that really set the scene, I think, for me in property. So that was my upbringing. That's a good part of it. The bad part was there was no understanding in the 50s about people. I was, as my mother would say, I was a little sod, because she had no understanding of me. I'd got two older, a brother and a sister, that I used to aggravate no end, and I didn't realise it was ADHD, and it's a wonder I've been sitting there so long, actually. Yeah. So if you look in my office, just over at the side there, I've got 3 computers and my phone, and yesterday I realised that I'd started on one thing that I was reading, and it came to a bit that I wanted to research on another computer, but then an advert come up or something come up, an email come up, that was it, and I went onto the email. It was about a property, and then I wanted to know something about that, and I went on my phone to find it. So I got all 4 open, and people say it's multitasking, but it's not. It's not more. You can only do one thing at a time. But it was just I get sidetracked, and I think I'm doing 4 things at once, but I'm not. I'm going. I like a bloodhound, I suppose, going around following my nose. Yeah. So. It was painful growing up. Painful because I got hit at home for doing wrong, for being frustrated and doing wrong, and I got hit at school for not paying attention. Well, I did pay attention, but they didn't realise I was paying attention. They thought I wasn't. So I was beaten every day. Yeah. So if I didn't laugh, I'd cry. Yeah. And so if we go any further into that kind of thing, then I will start to because even 65 years later, that pain is still there, still under the surface of what happened. So we won't go there too much because we want to keep this light-hearted. And
no, that's fine. That's fine. But you turn this around, though, Neville. This is the exciting thing about it. And this biggest challenge, you were able to overcome it. So how did you do that?
I don't know whether you ever... you don't fully overcome these things. my biggest problem was I couldn't see. And when I say I couldn't see, I wasn't blind. I suppose I was word blind, because the letters just jumbled up. Every time I blinked my eyes, letters of words, they just changed places. And when I saw the teacher, when I was about 5 or 6, I saw the teacher put in writing on the blackboard, and she put an E on the end. Well, I thought, well, that's a peculiar place to put an E. You know, I was just learning these things, and I thought, oh, I looked up to her because she spoke nicely, and I thought she was posh. So I naturally assumed, well, I don't know if it's natural, but I assumed that posh people would put an E on the end of a word. And I really truly believed that. And so I started putting E. When I saw an E and it was dancing about, I would always put it at the end. Sometimes I'd put 2 E's at the end to prove that I was extra. Because I'd seen 2 E's floating about. I thought, I'll put them at the end, because then people will think I'm brainy. Yeah, so that was really, really sad. That was, so I don't think you really overcome all of it. You just have to adapt yourself and everything around you. So you have to think about where do I want to go, what do I want to do, and how am I going to get there. Well, I'm certainly not going to get there if you say, do you want to be successful in reading something like the news person, they read off a teleprompter, don't they? And so I couldn't do that, so I didn't want to do it. So I realised very early on that if you can't do something, what is the point of worrying about it? Do what you can do, and realise that you could do anything in life that you wanted to do, but you prefer not to do those things. You prefer to do things that you're good at.
So you pick strategies to kind of be successful in the things that you were good at, to mask the things that you maybe weren't as good at.
Well, the curriculum, I don't know whether it's the same now or it certainly was then. The curriculum wasn't for me, and it wasn't for most children, I would imagine, and I honestly believe that still is very true. So whatever I couldn't do, they give me more. You know, you must try harder. Neville must try harder. Neville can't try any harder than he's trying. He's useless at that particular thing. Why not forget it and go on to something you're not useless at, and improve that? Because your self-esteem, when you're useless at something, your self-esteem goes down, because they're always telling you, try harder. You know, you're not paying attention. You can do it if you put your mind to it. Well, you know, when you've got a situation where your mind doesn't understand what it's seeing or what it's hearing, or you know, whatever, then it will never change. Go on to something that you can do and be praised for something you can do, and you'll get better and better. Then if you need something that you can't do, you either get somebody to help you, like I did, and in the end we had 125 people helping me do what I wanted to do, and so that works. Or you, as you grow older and you can adapt to things, you learn yourself without any pressure. And if you've got pressure and somebody's over you saying, you do it, you're lazy, whatever, then you can't do it. But if you come away from it and you need a certain thing in your life, then you'll learn how to do it somewhere or other without that pressure. So
now, having read the book,
got what the question was.
That's okay, you answered it beautifully. Is that what impressed me in here was the hard work that you and Marilyn put in, particularly in those early days when you seemed to be working virtually 24 hours a day. And that was so hugely impressive to see what you achieved over that time. But was there a point in all this work that you were doing that you thought, I know we're going to be successful?
Well, it's very early on, because I knew I was different. I knew I was always getting into trouble but I didn't believe that I was bad. I didn't know why I was getting into trouble, and I believed around the age of 6 that there was something different with me compared to my brother and sister and the kids in their class, and so I knew I'd got to in a way be different. I'd got to look after myself. I didn't consciously think at 6 years old, I know what I'll do, I'll be self-employed. I knew at 6 years old there was something that I'd got to do to get myself on the path what I wanted. Not keep tripping up, not being beaten every day, not being humiliated every day, not being called stupid every day. So I knew there was something there that, but it took a long time. It took until 24, to actually realise it did. So does that answer that question?
It does, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I may have missed something out.
No, that's
Maybe
correct.
we'll go back onto it.
Well, always.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what you'd like to tell your teachers now, after all the success that you've had.
Thank you very much for hitting me. Thank you very much for calling me stupid for 15 years. Thank you very much for putting me down. And I didn't like it at the time, but it gave me so much more understanding when employing people, because I employ people who can't read now. I've employed somebody for 20 odd years that, and lots of people can't read because of the same problem.
Yeah.
But they're very good at other things. I think I got on. I don't know whether it's in that book. If you judge, if you judge a person's ability as a fish climbing a tree, then they'll think they're stupid for the rest of their life. Something like that.
Yeah.
So therefore, people judge people when actually they've got no understanding of that person at all.
Yeah.
So so it put me in a much better position. And I'd say thank you very much. And I did. When I left school, I thanked them in a way, but I wished them diarrhea for the rest of their lives.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. That is so good. So, obviously, you must have a growth mindset to have achieved everything that you have done. And has that been important to you, do you think?
I agree with you about a growth mindset, but I think it's a bit different to that.
Okay.
I don't think it's a growth mindset at all. I think it becomes automatic. My father wanted to buy his house. He was proud that he could achieve that, even if it was 25 years. So that kind of gave me the idea of my goals were not short term. I mean, I had short term goals, but my goals were in the long run.
Yeah.
50-year goals, 25-year goals. If he could wait 25 years to pay his mortgage off and be proud of it, then I could. What was the question?
The question was about your mindset, your growth mindset, and it being important.
Yeah. Well, my mindset was I just wanted to be proud of what I was doing. I wanted to be the best I could be. I had listened to Muhammad Ali, and you see on my website, he was a mentor of mine. And he said in an interview, somebody said, if you wasn't a champion boxer, what would you be? He said, I could be anything. If I was a garbage collector, I'd be the champion garbage collector. I'd collect more cans, more garbage than any of my competitors, and I'd do it before they got up.
Brilliant.
It's like, wow, if the champion of the world can say that can come down to my level, then he's saying to me, you can do anything you want.
Yeah.
So so I believe that you want to be proud of what you do, and if you're not, then don't do it.
Yeah.
So that spurs you on. If you're talking about it, does that make you grow? And the customer spurred us on, so they give us the growth mindset. It was satisfying the customer. So the customer would come in and say, do you do Silver Cross prams? And for the first 5 years we didn't. We did write to Silver Cross every year asking if we could sell their prams, and every year they would write back to us and say, no, we've got 3 people in Peterborough that sells those, and besides they're much better than you know. They didn't say
Charming.
that they didn't say that, but it intimated that we was in a terraced house 2 up 2 down selling second-hand prams and then new prams, and these people were in the centre of Peterborough in department stores, and they were very, very nice department stores, and so therefore we didn't get a chance. But then on the 5th year they wrote back to us and said, well, yeah, one of them's closed down and the other one is not doing so much, so yes, we will. And by then we had moved into a shop 5 times as big, and it was a proper shop. It wasn't a terrace house, it was a proper shop in a shopping centre. So we had upgraded, and those people had come down, so it was like we was on par. So 5 years. So getting back to what I was saying, so customers come in and they'd say, have you got this, have you got that? And we say, no, but we'll try and get it for you. And that spurred us on. That made the mindset, if you want to call it the mindset, of growing. So it wasn't, we didn't start off with that mindset. We only started off with the mindset of, I want to look after ourselves. What do we want? We want to be able to eat. We want to be able to have a roof over our head, and enough tools to do the job, and then more tools to do a better job and a bigger job and whatever. So
one of the stories in your book that really moved me was your experience at the Dole office. Do you want to elaborate on that for us?
The queuing up
Yeah.
at the Dole office, my stomach would be churning. It'd be awful. I said I'd had 17 jobs, and there was and I got fired from the last one. I got fired from most of them, but no. Let's just go on the last one. I was working for the Ministry of Defence at the time, waiting for war, which was the most boring job that you could ever have, and it wasn't for a person like me. And I used to have my day mapped out, because we was there ready for war, and some of the people had been there from the last war, sitting there, and they'd gone crazy. So I used to run around the camp. We had this camp that we couldn't get out of, because it was secure. It was. And I used to have this thing. I used to run around the camp first thing in the morning, and do a few miles, and then I used to go into the locker room and do yoga. I used to stand on my head 2 hours a day, and do all types of yoga, and that's how my day was. And it was dreadful. It was. So standing. All right, the Dole queue. All right. So I said to this person, I went for an interview, and she said, well, took all the details. You'll have to go now to the Dole office. And I said, I'm not going there, because they're nothing but a load of scroungers and layabouts. She said, no, they're hard-working people, and you are the same. So don't say that about people. She got really mad with me and put me right in my place, and which was good. and I thought, well, I'm not going in there with people. So I sat on my bike outside, just round the corner from the dole office, and I counted 20 people in, and I counted 20 people out, and I thought, there's nobody in there. And I got off my bike, I rushed through the first lot of doors, I rushed through the opening, the swing doors, and I was faced with 2 rows of people, like, I don't know how long, but it was like so long the queues were. I'd forgot, when you count 20 people in and count 20 people out, you should realise what they're wearing. They were different people. And then I realised that the counter, when you got up to, because you had your head down because you didn't want anybody to recognise you and to see you, and you just like queuing up. And when you got to the counter was high and it was wide, and I never knew why. But then after, I was 3 months on the assistance, and then I knew why, because they used to wind you up. Have you done any work? Do you think I'd be in this fucking place if I'd worked, if I got a job? Honestly, do you think so?
So you say to stop them punching?
And it was like you would like to punch their lights out, but of course the counter was too far, and it was too high. It was like, so anyway, that was I used to pray to my God, walking along in that line, that he'd give me the job, and I would be the best employee out. I would, and I would really stick at the job, and I'd be the best employee. Well, it would be impossible, but my God obviously said, we're not doing any more, Neville. You look after yourself, boy. So I signed myself off, and in a fit of rage, by this altercation, and then I got on my bike, and I realised I hadn't got any money for that week because I'd signed myself off, and I cried on the way home, thinking I'll let Marilyn down, but there we are. That was the day I burned my bridges and said, it's time to stand on your own 2 feet and look after yourself. And that was the best day of my life, really, and the worst day as well. So that was interesting.
I mean, it's really clear that your dad's been a big inspiration, and from reading the book, it's clear that Marilyn has been as well. Is there anyone else that you'd consider that's inspired you to be as successful as you have been?
My children, and Joe and Elaine, and they've worked with us for since I was children. We never let having children alter the way that we was in business. So everywhere we went, they came with us. We would, as you said, we worked day and night, so we would be working at night and they would be with us, and they just grew up with the business and came into it, and have got businesses of their own now, and so they've inspired me for lots and lots of reasons. My youngest daughter, she's just having her 4th child. She's got one of 2, one of 6, one of 10, and then this one is next month. She works full time. She's an Iron Man as well, so she in between having children, she goes all over the world and does the Iron Man challenges, which is very grueling. And so was in Canada. Was it last year? I don't know whether it was last year or the year before. And she came off her bike twice, and on the road, and ran into a bollard. Anyway, they both of them inspire me for what they do, and to do things that we probably would never have done. Because we had our other circumstances. We was focused on the business, but they've been able to do other things as well, and they've inspired me. So, Marilyn, when you've got responsibility for 120 odd families, and you're in the worst recession that you could possibly be, and you're trying to save those jobs and save your business, and when you see somebody at a desk in floods of tears because she doesn't know what to do, which way to turn, it's like, but not to back away from the dreadful situations that that life can get you into through no fault of your own, because this is the way of the world. Then she inspires me for just the challenges she's been through, and she's had her problems the same as I have, so we've been there to help each other. So it's and you find when one person can't cope, and this goes for the whole family as well, for the children as well, when you get up to a certain stage, and a lot of people are on a knife edge, you could go one way or the other with stresses and strains, there's always one person there to become, I'll sort that out, not necessarily me, I'm saying about all of us. When you see pressure on somebody, you take over and you sort that out, and so that's what inspires me. That's why I think and there's a lot of other people as well, but they're the three main people.
So your children have obviously had the best education in business and life.
They left school at 13, both of them did, and we educated them then from 13, because the curriculum wasn't any good for them. They didn't fit into that curriculum.
So imagining yourself now as a teenager, what advice would you give to yourself, and why?
I did a couple of pages on what you tell your younger self in a book that's I think 46 authors contributed to the book. Probably never explained exactly what I meant, but I would tell my younger self to look after your teeth. and you're probably going to say, well, that's a bit peculiar. Why? Are you going to say that?
No, I wasn't, because
right, okay.
When I had a car accident, I smashed my jaw in 30 places, so I spent far too many hours in the dentist chair to ever dispute that fact.
Yeah. So I say look after your teeth, because a lot of people say to me, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean? There must be something a bit more than brushing your teeth. Yeah. If I'd have known what I know now, when I was 16, for instance, I had a toothache, and in those days there'd be no injections, and there'd be you just have your teeth you just have them pulled out or drilled. So I didn't want my teeth drilled because it was too much pain. It was like when you went to the dentist when you was very small, it was dreadful. It wasn't any thought. So I'd start having them pulled out. Luckily I stopped, because I was afraid of the pain. I kept thinking, well, why keep going back and having the pain? Just have it once. Just have it once. Yeah, but there should be education in schools about teeth, what they do for you, for your body, how they work, and only. And if I was a school teacher, I'd say only brush the teeth you want to keep. The rest of them, you might as well have out.
Yeah.
Only brush but you need them all, because they're all connected to different parts of your body, and you need those, because you start pulling them out, it stops your body working in lots of different ways. So look after your teeth. Understand what they do. Understand how they produce the food, how they process the food for your body, and it's all that kind of stuff. So, and I'd say to myself, get a mirror and a tape measure. So that's all you need. Look after your teeth, look at yourself in the mirror and get a tape measure. Because if you want to stop healthy for the rest of your life, it doesn't matter how long you live, as long as you're living a life until one day you die.
Yeah.
You don't want to be crippled up in a situation because you've destroyed your body, and your body is it's incredible how it keeps on living in like a vegetated state because you've ruined it.
Mm.
And I do believe that I could save the NHS billions of pounds just with one simple thing. And I know this won't apply to everybody, but it'll apply to a lot. You cut the doctor's door down, instead of it being 3'3", you cut it a metre, you cut it down to 10 inches.
Yes.
And if you can't get through that door, I'm not talking about everybody,
Yeah.
I'm talking about a lot of people who, if they couldn't get through the door sideways, then they're told, go and get your prescription from the next hatch. And they go down the corridor and get the prescription. And the prescription would be a cabbage and a few other things that you make soup out of. Now, the pharmacy, you see, being dyslexic, I don't know why a pharmacy is a PH and not an F.
Yeah.
And I think dyslexics wrote the dictionary.
Do you?
I do, because there's so many peculiar words and words that they're the same but mean different things.
Yeah.
A dyslexic wrote it. So anyway, the pharmacy people who make the pills were probably going to farming to make vegetables. So then they go back the next week, and if they couldn't get through that 10-inch gap, they go back to the hatch and get another cabbage.
Yeah.
And then when they could get through the gap, and the doctor would say, what's wrong with you? And they go, nothing.
Yeah. Amazing, isn't it?
So I'm not talking about everybody, I'm talking about some people.
Yeah.
Me, for example, because I've been there, not being able to get through that 10-inch gap, and it's self-inflicted.
Yeah.
And so think of your teeth, think of what they do, where the lines go in your body from your teeth. Think of everything that those teeth are there for.
Yeah.
Think of your fear.
Yeah.
And this should be taught as part of the curriculum.
Yes.
In school, and it'd be interesting. It would.
Definitely. So, Neville, you
look
know,
after your teeth.
That's I think that's a great one. It should be eat better, move more,
Yeah.
and look after your teeth. So, what would you like to be remembered for? What's your legacy, Neville?
Well, I'd say try. I tried. Trying. Marilyn says I'm very trying. She does. She says, you've tried me, boy. Well, my mum used to call me boy. She said, my mum used to say to me, I should have killed you at birth. I don't know why I did when I was a kid for my mum to say that. I should have killed you at birth.
Oh.
Yeah, she did. She's lovely.
Yeah,
my mum was lovely, and I loved her so much.
Yeah.
I loved my dad as well, but he used to. I think he was teaching me because he was in the war, and a lot of people didn't come home. Majority of people that he was with didn't come home, and I think he was subliminal. He was teaching me to survive, and. That wasn't the question, was it? What
would you like to be remembered for?
Yeah, trying, I think. Yeah. I try and I do try to. You probably know. If somebody's got a problem, I try and help them with it.
Yeah.
I try so much. So that's it. It's as easy as that.
Lovely. Yeah. And where can we find you now?
I've got a website called NevilleWright.com. So, and Neville Wright Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah. So just a general Neville Wright.
We will find you, don't you worry. Neville, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on SnipBit.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.